The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. Puravara University's program commences. The President says an economy which generates employment will be created. Sri Lanka gets another 1.6 million Sinopharm vaccine doses from China. 10 recognized political parties submit proposals for electoral reforms. Health authorities warn of an increase in non-communicable diseases. 1.5 billion rupees to be paid as compensation for crop damages in the Maha season. In news overseas, Melbourne enters into a snap lockdown with more COVID cases. In sports news, it's Rugby League World Cup 2021. Australia is yet to agree to participate, but the event will take place. Local stories in detail. Honouring another pledge in the Vistas of Prosperity policy statement, the Puravara University program will commence. The first university will be launched within the next few weeks, centred on Pinnavala in Kagalla. An official website has been launched introducing the concept. Launching the website took place today under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to coincide with World Youth Skills Day 2021. Puravara universities will be commenced at district level with the aim of creating skilled graduates targeting the job market with new technology. Puravara University program expects to confer a degree suitable for the job market for skilled students who have passed GCE advanced level examination but without economic means. The President pointed out that a majority who gets a degree expects a government job. However, he emphasized that the responsibility of a government should not be providing jobs but creating an economic background which creates employment. Puravara University program expects to create a graduate who can directly get connected to the economy or engage in self-employment. The President said that those who are protesting against educational reforms should present an education system that suits the present times but not supporting political objectives. China has donated 1.6 doses of Sinopharm vaccines to Sri Lanka. Issuing a Twitter message, the Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka said that the consignment of vaccines will be given to Sri Lanka within the next few weeks. The message has recalled the support given by Sri Lanka when China was facing problems. China has said that the vaccines are donated to further accelerate the vaccination program in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka is scheduled to get another 2.2 million Sinopharm vaccine doses on the 22nd of this month. The time period given for recognized political parties to submit proposals to the Parliamentary Special Select Committee on Electoral Reforms ended today. 10 recognized political parties have handed over their proposals. The committee headed by Minister Dinesh Gunawardena was appointed to identify reforms needed for elections, voting structure and regulations, and to present necessary amendments. The committee met yesterday at the Parliament complex. Political parties representing the Parliament proposed the name of experts who are expected to be appointed as the experts committee to study the proposals. Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Janatha Vimukti Peramuna and Tamil National Alliance have forwarded their names. 138 proposals have been submitted to the Select Committee. Non-Communicable Disease Unit of the Health Ministry says that there is a risk of an outbreak of non-communicable diseases. Obesity has increased since many are staying at homes due to the pandemic. Deputy Director General Dr. Champika Wickramasinghe said that consuming more food and not taking part in exercises have led to the situation. She said that consumption of food with oil, salt and high concentration of sugar should be avoided to protect from the diseases. She pointed out obesity could also lead to many other diseases. Dr. Champika Wickramasinghe said that by engaging in active physical activities, non-communicable diseases can be prevented. Agriculture and Farmer Insurance Board says 1.5 billion rupees have to be paid for crop damages in the previous Maha season. Chairman of the board, Premachandra Appa, said that making payments will be completed at district level within the next few days. Paying compensation for the crop damages in the previous Yala season is in the last stages. Another 400 million rupees have to be paid as compensation. 350 million rupees have been paid already for crop damages. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has come into power at Navalapitiya Urban Council, which was under the United National Party. During voting today at the Urban Council, Podujana Peramuna has obtained 9 votes while the United National Party has obtained 6 votes. Accordingly, Podujana Peramuna gained the administrative power and Mr. B.G. Kamal Priyankara was appointed as the new chairman. 4 UNP members and 1 Sri Lanka Progressive Front member have supported Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna at the voting. The Archaeological Act will be amended. Director General of Archaeology, Professor Anura Manatunga, said that the initial draft has been completed. The draft bill has been submitted to the President's Religious Advisory Committee to get their views. After receiving the views of the Mahasangha, views of the public will be obtained. He said that they hope to submit the proposal to the Cabinet before the end of the year and to get it passed in Parliament as a bill. The Colombo High Court has ordered today to take up the case against 5 persons, including the captain of the Express Pearl ship, on the 6th of next month. Appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, the Deputy Solicitor General informed the court that investigations are continuing into the incident. Justice Damit Thottawatha ordered the CID to report on the progress of the investigations on that day. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Continuing with the local stories, new stores for agricultural products will be set up at Achuveli and Kuppilan in the Jaffna district. The program has been initiated with the financial assistance of the World Bank. An onion store will be set up at Achuveli and a potato store will be set up at Kuppilan. Governor of the Northern Province, PSM Charles, made necessary arrangements yesterday. Innovative technologies solutions from Australia introduced in Sri Lanka and Maldives in 2014 have prevented over 29,314,918 kilograms equivalent of emission savings from polluting the environment. The Australian High Commission in Colombo said this achievement has been confirmed using internationally acclaimed Australian measurement and verification protocols. Renewable energy and energy conservation are 2 important pillars in tackling climate change, and Australian businesses have been working to achieve these important goals through their use of Australian technological solutions, both domestically and overseas. Sri Lanka and Maldives are among the countries adopting these technological solutions to climate change. Deputy Australian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Amanda Jewell, said they were delighted to observe South Asia's largest energy-efficient chiller operating at Shangri-La Mall in Colombo. The Indian High Commission in Colombo says that the virtual trilateral tabletop exercise, TTX 2021, was conducted yesterday and today with the participation of India, Maldives and Sri Lanka Navy. TTX 2021 is aimed at enhancing mutual understanding and exchange of best practices and procedures for countering common transnational maritime crimes like curbing narcotics and assistance in maritime search and rescue in the region. Rear Admiral Gulcharan Singh, Western Naval Command, Indian Navy, Rear Admiral P.S. Mahavithana, Director General Operations, Sri Lanka Navy, and Colonel Hilmi from Maldives National Defence Force were among the senior officers who participated in the inaugural session of TTX 2021 yesterday. The exercise is being coordinated by the Maritime Warfare Centre, Mumbai. To end the local news, the headlines again. Puravara University's program commences. The President says an economy which generates employment will be created. Sri Lanka gets another 1.6 million Sinopharm vaccine doses from China. 10 recognized political parties submit proposals for electoral reforms. Health authorities warn of an increase in non-communicable diseases. 1.5 billion rupees to be paid as compensation for crop damages in the Maha season. That ends the local news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
On the main news story, as Sri Lanka paves the way to restart tourism, fully vaccinated international travellers who have received the second dose of the vaccine 14 days prior to arrival will now be allowed to enter the country without undergoing quarantine. While several restrictions remain for unvaccinated or partially vaccinated visitors, those who have been given both vaccine doses will have travel restrictions eased. This includes entry into the island without a period of quarantine other than the 24 hours required to stay in a safe and secure level 1 hotel until the on-arrival PCR test results are available. That ends the main news story. Moving on to Watchlight. Colombo Vihara Mahadevi Park Open Theatre functions as a new community vaccination centre from this morning. The army said the general public above 30 years of age in the Western Province will be able to receive the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. daily. The army said proof of permanent residence in the Western Province by way of production of the national identity card, an electricity or telephone bill, or a copy of the electoral list, or a proof of residence from the Gramaneladari is required to receive the vaccine at the new vaccination centre. That ends Watchlight. We move on to the world news, the headlines. Melbourne enters into a snap lockdown with more COVID cases. Singapore sees cases spike in large karaoke launch cluster. 6 dead and dozens are missing after heavy rain in Germany. The Australian state of Victoria, home to its second largest city, Melbourne, is set to enter a snap lockdown today after it recorded 2 more local cases of the virus. The latest outbreak brings the total number of virus cases there to 18. This is the 5th lockdown Victoria has experienced since the pandemic began. It will last until Tuesday. The decision by Victoria means that about 40% of Australia's population is now under a stay-at-home order. Karaoke lounges have become Singapore's latest virus cluster, making up for a majority of the 56 cases the country recorded yesterday. The figure is the highest daily total Singapore has seen in 10 months. Some 41 cases have been linked to these lounges, which typically see hostesses interact with customers. The lounges were closed months ago as part of lockdown measures, but several obtained licenses to operate as food and beverage outlets instead. Police say at least 6 people have died and many more are missing following severe floods in western Germany. The worst of the flooding has been in the state of Rhineland-Palatinate, where around 50 people have been waiting on rooftops to be rescued. At least 30 people are missing in the hilly Eifel region after several homes collapsed. Much of the flooding was triggered when the Ahr River, which flows into the Rhine, burst its banks south of Bonn. To end the world news, the headlines again. Melbourne enters into a snap lockdown with more COVID cases. Singapore sees cases spike in large karaoke launch cluster. 6 dead and dozens are missing after heavy rain in Germany. That ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
And on development news, the new terminal constructed at the Bandaranaike International Airport to expand immigration and emigration facilities was declared open this morning. 430 million rupees was spent on the construction of the terminal, which consists of 23 immigration counters. Under the new development project, the first terminal of the BIA was completely modernized. That ends development news.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
And on sports news, it's rugby, football, and we move on to the rugby news. The tournament's chief says Australia has not signed the Rugby League World Cup participation agreement despite organisers confirming it will take place in England this autumn. The men's, women's and wheelchair events will all take place simultaneously in October and November. Australia holds the men's and women's titles. And in football, Great Britain's women's football squad will take the knee before their games at the Tokyo Olympic Games this month. Earlier this month, it was announced rules around athletes protesting at Tokyo 2020 had been relaxed by the International Olympic Committee. Team Great Britain head coach said the squad were all united in their decision to make the gesture. Lionel Messi has agreed to stay at Barcelona on a deal until 2026 that includes reducing his wages to half of his previous salary. The announcement is dependent on player departures that will allow Barca to fund the Argentina captain's wages. Messi, aged 34, was a free agent after his contract that reportedly paid him £123 million a season expired on 30th June. That ends sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
And on business news, the Commercial Bank of Ceylon has been conferred the coveted title of Best Bank in Sri Lanka for the 7th time by Euromoney, one of the world's leading financial markets magazines, at its Asia Awards for Excellence 2021. The prestigious Euromoney accolade is based on detailed submissions from market participants and extensive year-round research into the banking and capital markets in the region by the magazine's editors, journalists and research team. That ends business news.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. Courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka will have swap arrangements with central banks and various other institutions, including Sri Lanka's commercial banking sector, to help Sri Lanka to tide over any disturbances in the short term. Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman said real economic measures are being followed by the government irrespective of export promotion activities. He said measures such as sensible implementation of import controls and further promotion of remittances whilst helping relevant industries in the tourism sector to revive after COVID-19 are underway. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And finally, on the weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the Sabragamur and Western provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara Galle and Matra districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the eastern and Uva provinces and in Mullaitivu and Vaunia districts during the evening or at night. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places in these areas. That ends the weather report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And to end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. Puravara University's program commences. The President says an economy which generates employment will be created. Sri Lanka gets another 1.6 million Sinopharm vaccine doses from China. 10 recognized political parties submit proposals for electoral reforms. Health authorities warn of an increase in non-communicable diseases. 1.5 billion rupees to be paid as compensation for crop damages in the Maha season. In news overseas, Melbourne enters into a snap lockdown with more COVID cases. In sports news, Rugby League World Cup 2021, Australia is yet to agree to participate, but the event will take place. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.